Hey guys, so I've had the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon for 2 weeks now, and prior to that I was using Ender 3 Pro, which I'd used for about 3 years. I wanted to give my initial takes as to things that bug me, things that are a huge improvement after only 2 weeks with the Bambu Lab. I'm going to start off with some things that bug me. On my Ender 3, of course this is not an enclosed printer. If there is a stray piece of plastic or something, I'm able to reach in here and snip it off, no problem. On the Bambu Lab, this print bed starts all the way up here. So you physically don't have room to get in there and make a quick correction. And even if my hand could fit in there, this print head is flying around unpredictably, and you're almost guaranteed to bump it, and then that'll completely ruin your print. So I've learned it's best to just let this printer do its thing, let it finish the print, and hopefully whatever small or minor error that occurs doesn't affect your overall print quality. So again, that's probably a bad habit of mine, but I never realized how much I used to get in here and mess with prints until I started with this. The good news is that doesn't happen too often, but it is just one thing that kind of bothers me. Next thing that annoys me is this light bar is just not bright enough for this enclosure, especially if you have this door shut, because it is tinted as well as the top. It's just not bright enough. You really need one on the other side, and hopefully whenever Bambu comes out with their upgraded version of this printer, that is something they would improve. When I did a search online, this apparently was a common problem that people encountered, and there are solutions to that. I printed this riser, which will go on top, and then the glass cover will sit on top of this, so I can still store my AMS unit on top and run an LED light in the middle here, and it's kind of angled down, so I'll get a 360-degree light around the entire print bed, which would be a huge improvement. This will also help with your time-lapse videos, because there are some prints I did where the time-lapse video, you just really can't see it very well, especially if you're printing sideways or the angle of the print, the light just doesn't hit it. And this is at least definitely something that can be improved. The only other real issue I had with this printer was with the AMS unit. So the very first time I tried doing it, I got an error message saying failed to pull out the filament from the extruder. Please check whether the nozzle is clogged or whether the filament is broken inside extruder. And then it gives you an option to retry. So the very first time it tried to retract, it couldn't. It was on this slot 3, the light was blinking, so I knew which one. I do not know how to resolve that properly. All I did was push back this little funnel here and essentially yanked the filament out. And it was a little tough at first, and hopefully I didn't screw anything up. It's been working since then, but I did have that error message 1 or 2 times after this. I even had it on the 4th slot here. Again, same thing, pulled it all the way out, put it back in, and then it worked. I don't know the cause of that. I hope I didn't ruin anything, because these little units that go in here, I think these are like 45 bucks a piece. They are not cheap. But again, I've been using it. I just did a 4-color print and it turned out fine, but it is just something to keep in mind if that error shows up for you. The next thing has to do with the filament. Bambu Lab has their own filament rolls that come with a little RFID tag. I think that's that little thing. So when you pop it in the AMS unit, it knows exactly what type of filament it is and what color it is. So I popped this in and it detected it was a green PLA. I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. The confusion comes in is that these are reusable. So apparently I can buy filament from Bambu, swap out the filament, and reuse this spool. But what I'm confused on is how the printer would know what color it is or what type of filament. So it kind of defeats the purpose of that tag. So I haven't done that yet. My guess is I'll pop this in and then tell it what color it is or what material it is. I haven't done that yet. It's just a little confusion in my end as to how that works with the replacement filaments, but just something I just need to do a little more research on. The last thing to kind of just be aware of when you're buying this is that you're going to need to buy spare parts. The printer does come with some spare items, which is great. It came in this little box here, but you're definitely going to want to buy some additional things. I already had a nozzle get clogged, and I went ahead and replaced it with another nozzle. Well, I didn't have the complete hot end for that. So I needed to take off the thermistor, this ceramic plate that sits on here, and I was so worried I was going to break that thermistor because I did not have another one. An alternative to that is, one, you can buy a complete hot end. It's more expensive. That way you only need to replace the 3 cables, and then you can pop the entire hot end into the print head. But if you want to go a cheaper route, you can just buy this hot end here, this nozzle here, and then replace it yourself. If you do that, I would definitely buy some additional thermistors and then the ceramic plate. They're not too much money, but it's definitely some peace of mind, because one of the downsides is if you're buying it from Bambu, I mean, it takes like a week for me to get these products. I did a quick search on Amazon, and these products are not on Amazon, but there is what looks to be like generic versions of some of these items. So if you're not concerned about having the exact replacement from Bambu, there may be some cheaper alternatives on Amazon where you can get it the next day, and they'll probably work okay. I don't know, I haven't tried that yet, but that is another thing to keep in mind, as well as the build plate. So I bought another build plate here. This is the high temperature plate, and then I have another one on the way, this textured PEI plate, and it really just kind of depends what you're printing. So a lot of the stuff I have here: silicone sock for the hot end, carbon filter, glue stick, some desiccant for the AMS. Some of this stuff you can get used generics for and it's not a problem. Filament cutters. So I would just recommend looking through their accessory list online and purchasing what you need. If you don't mind paying the extra money, I would definitely recommend to get an extra completed hot end assembly, because it makes the installation of that way easier. So just to give you a quick look, if you're not familiar, if I pop this open, essentially all you have to do is unscrew these 2 screws and then unplug these 3 cables here and then pop in the new one. Makes it pretty easy. I really like how this thing's magnetic too. That's so cool. Okay, on to some of the positives, and most of you guys are already familiar, I'm sure, with the features of this printer and what it's capable of. But the first one for me is the auto bed leveling. I had a BL Touch on here, which was a slight improvement. I got pretty good at leveling this bed, but if you're familiar with the Ender 3, you had these screws on the bottom, and you needed to get this somewhat level for this to even work. And that could be very frustrating if these get out of whack significantly. Whereas, of course, for the Bambu Lab, does that automatically. It's a fantastic feature, and it's great for beginners because you don't have to mess around with any of that. It does it automatically. Awesome feature. Second thing is this camera. I love this camera. Of course, I can do time-lapse videos, which is really cool for larger prints, and you have the ability to monitor your prints via the Bambu app remotely, which is really cool. In fact, you can even pause your prints. You can send a print to your printer with the app. It's a pretty cool feature. I know some folks have concerns as it relates to security or privacy of using an app like that. I'm not so worried about it right now, but if you are concerned with any of that, you can do everything with this SD card, I'm sure, and skip the app, but that camera is a really cool addition. So overall, I'm absolutely thrilled with this printer. Of course, it depends what you want to print, what types of filament you want to print with, but I've had success with everything I've tried to print so far. I've printed with carbon fiber nylon, PA6, PA12, and worked great. Of course, you really need to dry out your filament if you're going to do that. I started using this thing and it worked a lot better than the old version I had. This thing can get up to 70 degrees and it really does bake it, and had no problems once that filament was dry. But overall, again, I'd recommend this thing. If you're interested in doing an upgrade like this, you can't go wrong with this. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.